We are the highest rated cooking show in Nevada County on public access. Hi, welcome back to Let's Get Cooking, the local Nevada County cooking show on public access, or as we like to call it, Rich Fisher's a masochist. Back again for, I think, the third time, our local chef extraordinaire, Mr. Fisher. What's on the agenda? What's on the menu tonight?
John, it's hot outside, it's summertime. I wanted to do something that would be cooling for everybody. So we're doing two different gazpachos, not the traditional ones. They're both a little bit different. One is a cucumber-based one, and one is a watermelon gazpacho.
And you're going to make these, then we heat them up on the stove because it's a soup.
It's a cold soup, though. It's intended to be eaten cold. So they're both served cold. It's a nice cooling soup to have for the summertime as an appetizer or as a main course.
That sounds wonderful. So tell me the two choices again.
There's a watermelon gazpacho that has watermelon, tomatoes, some of the traditional ingredients of cilantro and onion and chilies. And then there's a cucumber gazpacho as well, with green bell pepper, yellow bell pepper, more cucumber, lots of lime juice, a little sour cream, and some avocado. Really tasty.
The chilies don't make it sound like a cold soup. That makes it sound like a hot soup, I'm thinking.
A great little flavor in there to add to the coolness of the temperature.
Now, are you going to make them simultaneously or one at a time?
We'll do one at a time. Well, I'm going to do the watermelon gazpacho first. And due to the fact that we have a singular blender, we will need to take a quick break, rinse it out so I can do the second gazpacho.
I can't wait.
But we will be, and there's a few things I've done ahead of time just to expedite the show. So I'll explain that as I'm going.
Wonderful. Well, let's get started. I can't wait to see it.
All right. The first thing you do for the watermelon gazpacho, there's corn and red bell pepper in it. Really nice to be able to blacken them. You can put them in raw and they taste real good. But if you have a chance to throw them on a stove with a flame, you just get a lot more flavor out of both. The blackening for both the corn and the red bell pepper really adds a lot of flavor. And you can just lay that on your gas stove or your grill.
Wonderful. All right, so that's an excellent tip. And as I remember, it's carbonized a little bit off of the sugar and the corn and the pepper.
It actually, even though it looks black, you don't have any of the char flavor, and it really adds a caramelized sugar flavor that adds just a lot of dimension to the flavor of the corn. The corn is sweet as is. Once you heat it up like that, it is just that much sweeter. And the red bell pepper, I put over the stove, and then you put it in a plastic bag, and you let it sweat. And at that point, when you let it cool off, you can see I'm peeling off all the black, or most of the black. Yeah. The black really adds flavor, so you really don't need to worry about taking off too much of it.
Okay, I think I'm a little confused here because you're really violating that bell pepper, I just want to say. And two, the idea of putting it in a plastic bag and letting it sweat, that sounds like a weight loss technique.
Well, it makes the peel come off really easy. If you just throw it on the stove and keep turning it, use the tongs to turn it on the stove till it gets black on all sides. Let it cool off in the bag, and the black just comes right off, and it is just added so much flavor to the red bell pepper. You can do it with any pepper, basically.
You know, I really appreciate you explaining that technique because when I've done this at home before, I find that the flame melts the plastic bag. So and it makes a very acrid smell.
Indeed, I think the idea is to put the pepper in the bag after you've made it black.
After I've made it, got it. Thank you. That was it. How easy.
So I put the red bell pepper in the blender, and you just really don't need to. It's going to be blended and liquefied, so you really don't need to chop it up much.
Okay.
Same thing with the corn.
And I really appreciate you now putting the whole corn cob into the blender. I think that would lead to problems.
It does add a texture to the soup that you're not looking for. Now for the watermelon and the tomato, basically the ratio is you put about twice as much tomato in as you're going to put watermelon in. So I'm going to put in, just a couple of big handfuls of watermelon.
Okay, but let's pause here for a second. Because perhaps I'm easily confused. Where are you going to find a tomato that's twice the size of a watermelon?
You haven't seen my garden.
Where? Well, you must be getting them steroids in Miracle Grow or something.
And I've got some really great heirloom tomatoes to go in with it too. It's really a nice, you put in, like anything, the better quality ingredients you put in, the better your final flavor is going to be. So if you have some marginal tomatoes, it's better to go ahead and get some better quality ones.
And again, I think that's very judgmental. I mean, about these poor tomatoes, whether they're marginal, but...
Well, they haven't been marginalized.
Okay, let's watch out for that. But basically, twice as much tomatoes as watermelon.
So I put in 1 ear of corn, and I put in 1 red bell pepper,
Okay.
a couple handfuls of watermelon, and about 4 handfuls of the tomato.
So you wouldn't actually use a 1-ton tomato as we did last week.
I had a hunch you were going to try to work in that one-time joke again, John. I wouldn't have put it past you to not try to work that in.
Yes, I like to lower your standards, as you know. You are a master chef, I'm telling you.
We'll end up with enough gazpacho for everybody here, cameraman, everybody, yourself, to eat some of this.
I was going to ask what how many this will feed. So you mean 5 or 6 people, 4 to 6?
Yeah, there'll be 5 or 6 reasonable sized bowls here. That'll be good for that. I'm going to put a little bit of a red chili. Now, depending on how hot you like it.
Red chili, how did that get its name?
Probably the color.
Hey, here's the weird thing. I went to school with a guy named Red Chili. I mean, it's really Ernie Chili, but we called him Red. And I went to school with Augustus Pacho. We called him Gus, though, Gazpacho. That was his name. And he owes me money.
And you're still waiting for it?
Yeah, been a while.
So I've added the red chili, and now I'm adding scallions, generally 2, the green and the white. And you don't have to do a real fine chop because everything's being blended in here anyway.
Right.
I think I mentioned this last week when I did cilantro in the dipping sauce. A lot of people really don't like working with cilantro because they take the time to hand pick every little leaf off. Really, the stem is really tender, so a really fast way of dealing with cilantro is just hold it as a bunch and run your sharp knife over it, and you will get mostly just the leaf, a little bit of stem, and it really simplifies the job. And so many people don't like messing with the cilantro.
Well, Rich, you and I last week were talking about it's got a kind of a soapy taste to it, which some people like, others do not. But I was so inspired from last week that all week long, when I've been showering, I've been rubbing cilantro in my hair. And I think it really helps. Now, if you don't have cilantro, do you recommend Dove soap or Ivory Snow, anything like that? Or just skip it?
I would skip it as far as the soap part, but if you don't like cilantro, but like the idea of the green leaf, you can put in Italian parsley or your curly parsley. Now I'm going to need to mix this a little bit because we're getting a full blender, but I still have to add cucumber and some garlic. So I'm going to turn this on. I'm not sure how loud this is going to be for in here. Now I don't want to blend it too much now until I've put in the rest of the ingredients. Because I like the cilantro with some little bit of texture, not too terribly smooth. The easiest way to seed a cucumber is just take a spoon.
Can we pause for a second?
Sure.
I want to hear about the cucumber, but getting back to the blender, there's another way to turn that blender on.
Is it a personal habit of yours, or?
I think I can say it here on camera. Maybe take it out to dinner, a movie, caress it gently, drives those blenders crazy.
Have you tried mood music?
Oh, mood music, sure. Throwing it out there.
I'm not sure if the cucumber is going to respond to the mood music, but it does respond to a spoon because we want to take off most of the seeds. You don't have to take all of them out, but the seeds add a lot of wateriness and don't have a lot of flavor. And the cucumber flavor is what you're looking for.
Right.
And again, just a simple chop. The blender's going to do most of that work.
And I noticed you didn't put your hand in the blender while it was running. I think that was a good move.
Yeah, I like the use of all 10 of these digits, and so yeah, I generally keep my fingers out of the blender. A couple cloves of garlic.
When I worked in the restaurant trade, a guy who taught me how to use the blender actually did that. Oh, Lefty, we had so much fun playing together.
With how many fingers?
He didn't have that many afterwards.
It,
Okay, so we're doing a little garlic here. What's that, 3 cloves?
2 cloves. 2 cloves for this amount. But again, all these ingredients can be adjusted to your personal taste. I frankly am a big garlic fan. So if I was just doing this and knowing just for my tastes and things, I could probably put in 2 or 3 cloves of garlic.
And I'll ask a serious question this time. So
No. You're not allowed to ask
with the
a serious
garlic, I
question,
can see the blender doing a good job on the cucumber, but with the garlic, do you have to dice it up a little bit more finely for the blender, or do you think the blender does it?
As long as I get it started into some little chunks, the blender does a pretty good job. I'm going to turn that back on again.
And I noticed you also put the top on the blender too, which I think is a very important tip for the new cooks out there.
I think we've all either seen or experienced the blender without the top on, and
Yes.
the array of spray on the ceiling and walls. So it probably only needs to happen once for it to never happen again.
That might be a good episode for us to run, is how to clean the ceiling after you make dinner, after you make gazpacho soup.
Now, the last 2 ingredients I'm adding to the soup are lime juice and a little bit of olive oil. Plenty of lime juice, 2 tablespoons worth. I'll put in about 2 whole limes.
Kind of a workout, isn't it, squeezing those limes?
Sort of like doing it by hand, though. Yeah.
Yes.
And last is a little bit of olive oil. And again, just about a tablespoon. Now, it's a good idea to check the flavor before you assume it's done.
Okay, here we go. Doesn't meet the level.
Needs a little salt, a little pepper.
Maybe a cup of salt, you think?
Maybe a teaspoon.
Is that gourmet pepper? That doesn't look like regular pepper. Is that the high-end stuff?
It's better. It's pretty decent quality pepper. It's a black pepper that's. And I'm throwing in a little more chili. It just feels like it used a little more herby taste to it. And I'm going to throw in some fresh basil, just to give it another little bright flavor to it.
You know, and I should mention as well that for those of you who do have blenders at home, you'll want to sharpen the blade every so often, and one way you can do that is by putting gravel in the blender and running it for about 2 or 3 minutes.
Not sure if that's the method I would use.
No? I just made that up, so I don't know if that's actual what you would do. Well, what do you think? You got it?
I think so.
Look at that. Beautiful.
And I'll put a little garnish on top.
Now you just heat this up on the stove and it's all done.
Let's see, a little bit of sour cream on top. And again, you can garnish it with other things. You can add a little fresh tomato. You can put fresh radish on it. You can dice a little more basil in it.
It's absolutely beautiful. It's just a beautiful color. And I never heard of watermelon in gazpacho soup, so this is new for
it's
me.
very tasty. So
Yeah,
that
look forward to
completes this first gazpacho. It is-
Wonderful, thank you.
And it is room temperature now. It's actually gets a little bit tastier if you have a chance to chill it and get it cold. So doing that, putting it in the refrigerator for a little bit, and then serving it. That's really the best way to do it. It's better cold.
Oh, Rich, wonderful. Thank you for showing us that. Excellent.
My pleasure.
Oh my God, it's beautiful. Oh, Rich, this might be your best effort yet, and you've made some amazing things already. This is great.
No, I really like the flavor combination. It's a surprise that the tomato and the watermelon work so well together. Yeah.
There's so much happening. And the first sip of it was watermelon. Now it's chili, a little bit of the garlic. It's just wonderful. It just keeps coming and coming. And this is before, we've cooled it in the fridge. Wonderful, thank you.
Just very refreshing.
Absolutely love it.
Very refreshing, and you can see very quick. You've got all your ingredients. It's a pretty fast dish.
Ladies and gentlemen, I heartily recommend this recipe. Thank you, Rich.
Thank you, John. Glad you like it.
All right, well, let's see what's next. All right, we're back again to see. Now, before we get to the next recipe, I was a little confused because I asked Rich, what are we going to do this week? And he said, it's a dish that's best served cold. And I'm like, what are the ingredients that go into revenge? I don't know, I've never heard of that, but we're finding that out. So, Rich, what is this dish that's best served cold? What are we making for round two?
Round two is a different gazpacho, also not with all the traditional ingredients. Also best served cold, so it really lends itself towards the summer temperatures, cool evening, nice appetizer, or with a crusty piece of bread, it can be a main course. But this one's pretty much all green except for one ingredient. So this is an all green cucumber, basil, cilantro, red bell pepper, avocado, a little bit of jalapeno, a little coriander, just not the traditional.
Wonderful.
So I'll get started with it. I'm using two kinds of cucumbers. These are cucumbers. The English cucumber, you can actually use the peel. It's not bitter at all, and that helps add a little flavor, and the little dark green flecks is nice in the soup. So no need to peel that at all.
This is an English cucumber.
Correct. I'm using both the English and the traditional one. I sort of like the flavor of both. The traditional ones, sometimes the skin can be pretty bitter. And so that's why a lot of people generally will peel the cucumbers that we're used to eating, this style. But I do peel them because they really can be quite bitter. We are seeding it again. So just taking a spoon and getting rid of most, not all, but most of the seeds, just to cut down on the wateriness of the soup.
All right.
And again, no need to do that with the English one. With the English, there's much smaller seeds, not nearly as watery.
So is that like a cultural thing with the British that we don't have to de-seed them before we work with them?
I have a hunch it's more they knew how to breed a cucumber that was not as bitter as what we use. So in some ways it may be just a better biology. Oh, I'll add another half of this. Now, certainly most people are using vegetable peelers. You can certainly do it this way too.
Yeah, and just so people know, we do have medics on set right now. I mean, just off screen in case Rich has a shaky hand there peeling that cucumber. Nicely done, by the way. I'm glad you didn't hurt yourself.
I try.
This job site has been accident-free for 5 weeks, I think it is now.
And instead of a red chili, I'm going to put a little bit of jalapeno so that everything stays in that mostly green tone. If you don't like things very hot, generally you want to just use the bottom of the chili. If you're using the whole thing, just stripping it of its seeds and its membrane will keep it a lot cooler. But just the bottom of the jalapeno or the chili will keep it a lot cooler as well.
Ah, good to know.
The only non-green thing in the gazpacho in this one is a yellow red bell. A yellow bell, not a red bell.
Green would have been fine too. Do you prefer yellow for some particular reason?
Flavor-wise, yeah. The yellow is sweeter.
And I suppose if you used enough of these yellow bell peppers, you could end up with blue soup, which would be kind of neat, right? Yellow and green?
No, it's blue and yellow turns green.
That was close.
I'm getting a full blender here, and I have more things to put in. So I'm going to add about a half a cup of vegetable broth. And start blending this so I can make a little more room inside the blender.
Okay, half cup, all right.
Wonderful, looking great.
And that was a really good tip from last time, which is you don't want to blend it to its final consistency, but you're still going to add in ingredients throughout.
Yeah, unless you really want a really smooth puree, it's really nice to just get them basically mixed so you don't have And you can leave a little texture. I like a little texture in it. Besides the green onion, I'm also going to add a little bit of shallot, which is just a much milder onion flavor than a traditional onion. And just a few really fine dices of that. Goes real well with the green flavors of the cilantro and the basil and the cucumber.
And I think it's nice that you don't have a green-only policy in your kitchen, because I think that's very restrictive.
I'm an equal opportunity cook, John.
There's room for the shallot, there's room for the yellow pepper in this world.
If you don't like cilantro and you still want to add more green, the flat leaf parsley or the curly parsley. Flat leaf is also known as Italian parsley. So, and you can see my measurements are not fully measured. It really is a situation that you can, based on your own taste preferences, if you like a lot of basil or a lot of garlic, you go ahead and add more since you already know. I like doing a recipe basically how it's written the very first time, so I really have an idea of what the chef intended. Then after that, I generally fine-tune and change things a lot.
Yeah. And that's the fun of cooking.
It certainly is helped. I've been in one form or another, some form of the creative arts and for most of my life. And this is just an extension of it. I really think cooking is an art for a lot of people, and for me, it gives back to me a lot. Feeding people is always a pleasurable experience.
And I like the fact that you did gazpacho probably the original way, but that you did not put in liver or tripe today. You didn't go that far afield, which I think we all appreciate that.
Yeah, not a big liver and tripe person myself. And the other green item that's going in this gazpacho is avocado, and it really adds a nice creaminess.
Mm-hmm. Now did you know that if we buy Mexican avocados, we're supporting the drug trade?
I'm not sure if I understand the connection there, John.
So the Mexican drug cartel had to branch out, and they now run most of the avocado farming in Mexico. Just in case you can look it up.
I was not aware of that.
That's what I'm here for.
To educate and to entertain.
Well, I don't think I do either, but thanks. That's nice of you to say that.
And we're working with some limes again. We want to throw in some more lime juice. 2 limes worth of juice. Usually get about a tablespoon of juice out of every lime. So we're talking about 2 tablespoons of lime.
Okay, 2 tablespoons lime, good. Oh, it's beautiful.
The smell is amazing. The green smell, the garlic, the lime, yum.
Yeah, I've heard that a few times in my life. So not the whole lime. The peel of the lime would be very bitter, I think.
It is. Good call, John.
That's what I'm here for. Okay, here comes big taste test.
Oh, in a minute.
Nope.
Okay. A little more spice in there, a little salt.
Okay. About a cup.
A pinch, maybe a half a teaspoon of coriander.
Oh, Corey. Boy, did we have some times together way back when. The whole Ander family, great family.
We've all had some adventures with people that are named Corey.
But you don't know this particular Corey, I don't think. This is back east.
I thought all Corys were similar.
Oh, no, no. Great. There's a great discrepancy among quarries.
Let's see, what else is in here?
You're running out of ingredients there.
We're gonna do, it's a little thick. I'm gonna add just a little more of the vegetable broth. And this is another one that once it's in the bowl, some garnishes of sour cream, radish is really nice on there because it's white and red. It looks good on there and tastes good in there. And
Let's see here.
I think we're in business.
Aha, wonderful, wonderful.
This.
So, Rich, would you say gazpacho, traditional gazpacho is tomato-based, or is that not true?
Traditional is many of these same flavors, but just tomato. And often cucumber, tomato, basil, cilantro, chilies.
In varying combinations. Well, go figure. You used mostly green ingredients, and it came out green. Did not see that coming. Beautiful. Look at that.
This particular one also is really especially nice with a little bit of a drizzle of olive oil over the top.
Work of art. Okay, you ready for the trivia? I just learned this weekend the art that baristas do to your cup of coffee is called latte art.
Latte art.
You did the same thing with the olive oil. Gazpacho art.
Maybe it's my new calling.
I'm telling you, it looks great.
Voila.
Nicely done. I can't wait to try it.
These heirloom tomatoes are really nice. And even though it's not green, the red on that and the flavor should be a really nice little added flavor for that. And look.
Beautiful.
There we have two really fun, cooling, easy gazpachos to make in the hot weather this summer.
Oh, Rich, thank you again. I'm going to try it momentarily here. Again, so when Rich said I'm making two gazpachos today, I'm thinking, will it be Godfather 1 and Godfather 2? Or is it Bill and Ted's Excellent Adventure and Bill and Ted's Bogus Journey, where the sequel's never as good as the original? So we're going to find out right now, because this looks awfully good, and that first gazpacho was incredible. Here we go. Oh, Godfather 1, Godfather 2. Tremendous. A little smoother, a little more delicate, I think, than the first gazpacho, don't you think?
Yes, it is.
Oh, it's lovely. This might sound funny. It's a different personality than that first gazpacho. It's just great.
It is. The other one has both the tomato and the watermelon. It gives it a little runnier, a little cooler. To me, the green is a little brighter. I like the lime, and the. Can you taste the jalapeno in there? A little bit of heat.
Yes, a little bit on the back end. Yeah, rich, tremendous. And again, I think we all appreciate no liver, no tripe in this gazpacho. Wow, what a fun segment of Let's Get Cooking. Again, I'd like to thank Rich Fisher. What amazing meals you've been making here. We really appreciate it. And remember, if you want to be on Let's Get Cooking, just contact us here at Nevada County Media. Always looking for chefs. Rich sets a very high bar, so I hope he hasn't scared anyone off. But until next time, I'm John Voorhes. See you next time on Let's Get Cooking.
Thanks very much, John. Take care.
Thank you, Rich.